Mike Moore Media, the first place to hear Rockingham County news and information.
Always good to visit with our mayor in Eden, Neville Hall, and he's on the line now. Hello, Mayor. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Mike. I hope you are.
Good. Well, I know it's been a busy time around the city. Let's start with City Council meeting this past Tuesday and a very special commendation. Would you share that with us, please?
Yeah, this honor that we were able to present to these policemen that I'm going to tell you about is something that is really something to be proud of for the city and the police department, as well as the fire department. On Monday, July the 6th, there was a fire at 518 Gresham Street. And as the officers were on their way there, they got another call saying there was someone trapped inside the house. When the police department, the first officer there was Brian Ferris, and he went to the back door. He could hear the child inside screaming for help, went to the back door because the child's in a wheelchair and couldn't get to the ramp on the front. So he went around back, and Officer Ferris picked the child up out of the wheelchair and took him out of the burning house to safety. And while he was doing that, Officer Rowland had pulled up and on the scene, and he started taking the fire hose off the truck. He's also a fireman, and he started putting the fire out. And then while he was doing that, Officer Ferguson showed up, and he helped get the child with Ferris out, and then helped Brian Rowland with the firefighting. So as a result of all their quick thinking and response, as well as the fire department on scene, they were able to get all the residents out of the house safe and unharmed, and it just was a blessing that no one was hurt, and they were recognized at City Council meeting last month. We're proud of them.
We're certainly proud of them for sure, and aren't we fortunate to have such a great team with our Eden Police Department and fire and all of those first responders that go beyond the call of duty.
Yeah, that's a great example of doing what you have to do to protect the safety of the citizens, and they reacted as appropriately as you can imagine, and we're just happy that it turned out the way it did.
Yes, indeed. So again, a special thank you to Brian Ferris, Brian Rowland, and Josh Ferguson. And how neat was that to have that young man at the meeting the other night, too, to present them with a couple of things.
Yeah, he's a neat kid. I know the family. I've known him a long time, and obviously he's got some physical limitations, but he's a bright spot in everybody's day when you see him. So
yeah,
I'm glad he was there too.
Very good. Well, thank you for that special recognition. A lot of interest. People looking up in the sky earlier this week. That big helicopter overhead out on off 14, working on that sewer line, and that all kind of finished up Tuesday night, I believe.
Yeah, he made it, I think, a day ahead of what they had scheduled, thanks to the weather cooperating all for the 2 days that he was, 2.5 days, I think he was up in the air doing things. He spent a good part of the first part of the job was removing debris from under the old trestle, and then they got all that loose, and then they were able to airlift the pipe over to the area, and I went down and watched a little bit of it. It was pretty incredible how big that helicopter was, with this crane to lift and put the pipes in place, and there were men down in the river, and they'd throw a strap over it and put it in place, and while they were securing that section of pipe, he'd go pick up another piece across a little bit ways up the river and bring it down, and it's an engineering marvel. They got it all the way across and running, and it's functioning as it should. So that was a relief to have that fixed. We had been using a temporary pump to pump around that, and in order to do that, you're required to have somebody on site with the pump at all times in case it quits, and they have to have a backup plan. So we're glad we're able to get those employees back to their regular job as opposed to 24 hours sitting around watching a pump work.
I'm sure they're more glad than you to get out of that situation, babysitting a pump. Yeah, and that pipe was over 60-some years old, so it's good to get that. Yeah. It's about over 600 feet of pipe. Is that correct? Something like that?
Yeah, I think that's right. It was, and I think the pipe was put in, maybe they did say 66 years ago. And, the only way to fix it was with the helicopter, it would be. I mean, someone had asked me about why do we need to put new pipe? Couldn't they fix the old? And I think that it just made sense why you got the expense of the helicopter there to the pipe. The actual piece of pipe is a minimal expense compared to the labor to put it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we went ahead and replaced it all the way across.
Talk about coordination, all the people working on that project, but it's done, and hopefully that'll last many, many years to come, looking down the road there.
Right.
Speaking of water, give us an update on the splash pad at Freedom Park.
The splash pad is open, and they are working based on social distancing and maximum capacity. And if they are maximum capacity, they're doing it in time slots so that you can go for, I think it's 2 hours, and then you have to leave if there are people waiting, if you've been there longer. And it's still there, still operating. And I've been a couple of times, and it looks like they're pretty close to capacity when I've been there. And of course, the kids really are enjoying it. And it's been so hot that it's a great thing to have. And we're just hoping that people will continue to use it, as well as the pool at the Draper Center. So
oh yeah, Mill Avenue pool.
It's open as well.
Yeah, yeah, and same prices as last summer, so no price increase on that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Very affordable afternoon if you want to take your kids out to play a little bit.
Yeah, kids, I think I'm going today. I'll meet you there, Mayor.
Yeah.
I drove down to, it's in the neighborhood, I drove down to Clay Street Landing yesterday just to kind of check on things. Wow, that's a great addition to our outdoor recreation and water, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's another thing I wanted to mention is that that Clay Street Landing is very, very accessible now, and you can go. You can drive right down to it. There's a set of steps where you can go all the way down to the river and put your kayak or boat in or whatever you want to do. And they've got new signs pointing directions out there to it, as well as some picnic tables are out there. And it's it's getting a lot of use. And just like the splash pad, as hot as it has been, the rivers are getting a lot of use, and it's a great way to get out and enjoy nature and kind of stay cool. So
yeah.
That's a great addition, like you said, and we're glad that project is basically complete now.
Yeah, still some signage that needs to get in place. I think a kiosk and some things, but and really just when you turn off Washington Street onto Cleiss, just go straight on down the road. Public Works is at the end there on your left, and the Eden Animal Shelter folks have their set up there, but just keep going down that road because I don't think there's a sign up yet. You may think, well, I'm on private property here, but
right,
it's head toward the river, and you're there within seconds.
Yeah, straight in. That's right. Nice big parking area. So
yeah,
it's a good place to put in. I think it's about an hour down to the Leaksville Landing. So,
okay.
Depending on the water rate, but yeah, it's a pretty short ride if you want to. I mean, of course, you can go further, but just right to that Leaksville Landing. It's just a pretty short afternoon trip.
Yeah. Well, big news this week. A landmark in downtown Old Leaksville has changed hands. So tell us about that good news. Yeah,
the Ray Building, that's all I've ever heard it referred to as the Central Hotel on right the corner of Monroe and Washington Street, tallest building downtown, and it has been vacant, I think they said, for 60 years. Mm-hmm. And the upstairs has. There have been retail uses down below, but the hotel part of it has been vacant a long time and had been an eyesore for a while. And it has been purchased by a developer he lives in Orlando, Florida, and he's done these types of ventures in other places. And he closed on the hotel on Wednesday, and Thursday began the interior demolition. And the intent is to develop it into 27, they're describing as luxury apartments. I know that there's a push towards or trend towards people enjoying living in downtown areas, and so he's making they're going to be fairly large units because that's such a big building. And I'm just so happy that we've got somebody making a private investment into revitalization of downtown. And I think that people go where businesses are, and businesses go where the people are. So you put 27 more families downtown, it stands to reason that other businesses will follow, because people like being able to walk to different amenities. So I think this is hopefully just a starting ground for some big time redevelopment in the downtown area and the whole city, actually. So that's a very positive thing that we're able to have that improvement to downtown.
We already have some really neat shops, and one that just recently opened and outgrew their space really fast and moving to another location on Washington Street. And so there's some really good things happening with businesses, even in these challenging times, people opening businesses. And when you look at what's going to be happening there at the Central Hotel, and you mentioned the apartments and fitness center on the street level, and he's going to be opening up, as you know, Mayor, the windows that were there on Monroe Street side. I've never seen them there in the almost 50 years I've been here. They've been all bricked up, but he's putting that back because he has to restore it since it's on the National Register to its original design. Is that correct?
That's what I understand too.
Yeah.
Okay. On the 30th, we're going to have a little an event down there and he's going to reveal the renderings of the proposed exterior. So I haven't actually seen the artist rendering, but I'm supposed to see it on the 30th, which is a couple of days away. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that with you there too. So we're glad to welcome Michael Carpino, his wife Terry, and their 3 daughters to the area, and that big investment in downtown. He's telling me $3.5 to $4 million. So we're not kidding around there with that figure. Wow.
Right.
More good news, some businesses, some job opportunities in the area, Mayor?
Yeah, I got some information from a couple of companies that are trying to hire some full-time employees, and I said I'd mention this in every media outlet I could get it to, but just real quick, one of them's Weil McLean. They're trying to find 10 or 15 full-time employees for machine operators, assemblers, material handlers, and paint operators. And you can visit their website to apply. It's weilmclean.com/careers. Gildan Yarns is also seeking machine electricians, spinning, carding technicians, haulers, different operations jobs. Most of those are for 12-hour shifts. And their facilities, the Yarn facilities on Summit Road, is the building that they recently purchased, and they're trying to staff that one. They also have their distribution center there, the big building on Meadow Road. It's the big Gildan building. Everybody knows where that is. But they're trying to re-up their staff after the COVID, and they're looking for workers, forklift operators, but forklift is not required. But they're looking for some help too. So there. And then finally, the one I want to mention, and I know there are others. If you go to Ameristaff or any of those temporary agencies, Debbie Staffing, Workforce Unlimited, they can guide you into many more companies that are hiring. But these are the ones that particularly reached out to me and were trying to find some help finding employees. But the next one I was going to mention is Night Owl Contractors. It's the company that bought the former Kmart building. And they're looking for electricians and granite polishers and machine operators, forklift operators, carpenters, sheetrock workers, everything. They build granite countertops or granite kitchen, all kinds of kitchen equipment in there, and they're looking for some help with that. And you can reach them at www.nonc stoneworks.com, NONC stoneworks.com, and they're looking for help there. And another good piece of good news that goes along with that, the person who purchased the Kmart building has also purchased the rest of the mall, with the exception of the former Belk building. That's a separate parcel, but he's bought the rest of it. He's in the process of remodeling it. He's going to try to he's going to use some of the space for his granite business and cabinet business, but he's also trying to seek some light industrial or office tenants for the balance of some of the area.